blessings for this Navratri. Children, previously we have started chapter 14, that is regional power. Yes children, about 6 regional powers we had learned in this chapter, and we have already learned about Vijayanagar and Bahmani, and we have to learn about Ahom, Mewar, Marwar and Kashmir. So in the map we have already seen that where does these regional power exists. So children, let's recapitulate whatever we learned in our previous class. So first of all, we will see the map. We had seen the map of India in 15th century. Then again we learn about Vijayanagar Empire and the famous rulers, then administration, society, art, etc. Let's recapitulate about this Vijayanagar Empire. So first of all, let's memorize the name of King Krishnadev Rai and the famous Tenali Rama. Then comes to learn that Raja Krishnadev Rai belongs to Tuluk dynasty. Then comes to learn that there are the group of 8 people who are having special experiences in their own field, and those were known as Ashtadiggaj in his kingdom. And Tenali Rama was very famous at that time, whose stories children love to read and listen even this time also, and he was the chief minister of King Krishnadev Rai. So this is all about the king. Then comes the administration. In the administration we have learned that the king is all in all, because he is having the full command on the administration, army as well as the judiciary also. So it was fully depend on his own will whether he is going to accept the advice of the ministers or not. So these are the administration, these are the fact of administration of Vijayanagar Empire. Let's know about the religion of that time. Vaishnavism was the most famous religion at that time. Then comes society and culture. In this society we had learned that Vijayanagar is having the Varna system in the society, and Brahmin enjoys the most respectable position. Then comes the situation of ladies or women. So that were good at that time, because at that time the ladies or women were educated and well versed in Sanskrit and local languages. Also they were also trained in dancing as well as music. But some social evils were also existing, like polygamy, child marriage and sati system also. So these were the social evils of Vijayanagar Empire. Now comes the most important thing, that was education at that time, which was given in the temples or mathas, and for the fulfillment, for the maintenance of those mathas and temples, the kings of that time used to grant money to maintain the finance of the temples, to maintain the finance of the education provided to the scholars. Now comes art and architecture. So in art and architecture, many beautiful palaces and temples were made at that time. Vitthal Swami and Virupaksh are the most famous temple of Vijayanagar Empire. Then comes the Kalyan Mandap and Gopuram. The two different things. Kalyan Mandap means large pillared halls, and Gopurams means very high gateways. Not only this, the life-size statues of kings and queens are also there. They were the finest example of sculpture at that time. Now comes the language. In the language, Sanskrit, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada language of literature are there, who provide us valuable information about that period. So children, this is all about the Vijayanagar Empire. Now one more empire we have learned, that was Bahmani Kingdom. So in Bahmani Kingdom, let's know about the famous rulers. Then one more thing was that is given in your, do you know, that is about Jalim Humayun. And then comes the administration, then art and culture. So all about, let's recapitulate one more time. This is all about Bahmani kingdom in 1347 CE. So the person was Hassan Gangu who started this Bahmani kingdom. He was an officer in Muhammad bin Tughlaq's court, and he assumed the title of Bahman Shah. Alauddin Hassan Bahman Shah was the complete name, and he adopted this title and established a kingdom named Bahmani kingdom. So that he also divided the kingdom into Gulbarg, Daulatabad, Berar and Bidar. Bidar was very famous for the educational facilities. So let's move one by one to there. Bahmani dynasty ruled over about 175 years. But the famous ruler was Firoz Shah Bahmani, and he was a learned man and was famous calligraphist of that time. So don't miss the name of Firoz Shah Bahmani. Not only this, he also composed verses in Arabic, Persian, Marathi, Telugu and Kannada. So children, in our last class, we have seen the Daulatabad fort, who was an observatory made by them for the protection of the kingdom, and Ahmad Shah's grandson Humayun was called Zalim Humayun, as he was a cruel and merciless ruler. So this is also given here. Now comes the name of Mahmud Gawan, was the prime minister, but in reality he controlled the entire administration, and the most important thing he provided was the madrasa at Bidar. So Mahmud Gawan built a great madrasa or college in Bidar, and the building was very high and was accommodated by tiles, and there are 1000 students and teachers who are able to sit in that premises. So it was too big to accommodate near about 1000 students as well as teachers. So the Bahmani kingdom was a cultural bridge between the North and South India. So this is all about what we learned in our last lesson, in our last class. And today we are going to learn about Ahoms, then Marwars, and then Mewar and Kashmir. So about these 4 regional powers we will learn today. Today we are going to learn about the Ahoms, the Mewar, the Marwar and the Kashmir. Means all the northern regional powers in 15th century. Let's know about Ahoms. Look at the picture, children. Ahom is the ancient name of Assam, because this name Assam is derived from Ahom. Now the question raises here that from where these Ahoms originated. Children, these Ahoms originally belonged to Mongolian tribes of Burma. Burma or Myanmar, a neighboring country of India. They consolidated their kingdom in eastern Brahmaputra Valley. That is areas of North Bengal and Assam. Yes. The name Assam is derived from Ahom. Now Kamarupa was the another kingdom there. Both of them were Hindu kingdoms. Nusrat Shah of Bengal wanted to capture these kingdoms. Means these 2 kingdoms were Hindu kingdoms, and one king known as Nusrat Shah, who wanted to capture upon these 2 Hindu kingdoms but could not succeed. And the reason, during this period Ahom were ruled by Shuming, who was a very brave king. He made Ahom a very strong kingdom, and it was given the name Assam. This dynasty ruled for more than 600 years. So the information about these Ahoms are not too much. It is a little information about these Ahoms, so that things to remember here is the ancient name of Assam was Ahom, and the king who was ruled over there named Shung Ming, who gave the name Ahoms to Assam, and this dynasty ruled for more than 600 years. Now children, we just move to Mewar and then we will learn about Marwar. Mewar, are you remembering? Chittor or Mewar? The Rajputs established their power in Mewar in the 18th century. 1303 CE, Chittor, the capital of Mewar, came under the control of Alauddin Khalji. Do you remember children? Queen Padmavati and Chittor. So those regions belong to Rajput rulers. After his death, means after the death of Alauddin, these Mewar again went back into the hands of Rajputs because of the heroic efforts of Rana Hamid. The most famous rulers of Mewar were Rana Kumbha, Rana Sangram Singh and Maharana Pratap. So these are the brave Rajput rulers who were always remembered in Indian history. Let's know about them. First of all, we will learn about Rana Kumbha, who was a very brave general and outstanding ruler of Mewar. He had built 32 forts for the defense of Mewar. Here in the picture, the fort of Kumbhalgarh is shown. Now look at the fort. It is situated in the top, and here the main motto to establish such kind of forts is for the safety of Mewar, for the defense of Mewar. Rana Kumbha constructed the magnificent Kirti Stambh to celebrate his victory over Malwa. Children, Kirti is a Hindi word named to the Kirti Stambh, and this is the pillar of victory. Look at the Kirti Stambh. It is the pillar of victory, and the victory of Rana Kumbha, and the victory was over Malwa. So this Kirti Stambh is situated at Chittor. Look at it. He was a very learned man. He was also a linguist, author, architect and veena player of repute. Now comes Rana Sangram Singh, who was popularly known as Rana Sanga, grandson of Rana Kumbha, ruled Mewar during 15th century. He was also as strong as his grandfather. He wanted to build a vast Rajput empire, but it remained only a dream. He was a great general who had won many battles, but he lost in the battle of Khanwa against Babur in 1527. So he was the ruler of great zeal, but was defeated in the battle of Khanwa, and it was fought between him and a Mughal ruler, who established the Mughal rule in India, who was Babur in 1527. But in the history of Mewar, we must remember Maharana Pratap, the great soul. Many Rajput rulers were wooed by the Mughals. Wooed means crushed. Mewar alone held out. So Mewar at that time was a symbol of power, and it was ruled at that time by King Uday Singh II, who was the father of Maharana Pratap. In 1567, Akbar, who was also a Mughal ruler, decided to teach it a lesson, and he attacked Chittorgarh and razed it to the ground, means dragged it to the ground. 5 years later, means at that time, these Rajputs flew away from there, and 5 years later, Maharana Pratap regained. It was fought in 1572, and in 1597, he came to rule Mewar, a king without a capital. He confronted the imperial armies at Haldi Ghati in 1576. Maharana Pratap and his followers withdrew themselves in the hills of Mewar, and there they used to train themselves continuously to prepare themselves for war, and they again and again used to harass the Mughals through guerrilla warfare for the next 20 years. Do you know, children, Maharana Pratap made his descendants vow that they would not sleep on beds, nor live in palaces, nor eat in metal utensils until Chittorgarh was regained. So, this is the story of victory of Maharana Pratap. And then comes Marwar. The Rathors of Rajputana founded the state of Marwar during the 13th century. Rao Jodha was the important king of Marwar. He founded the city of Jodhpur, which became the capital of Marwar. He built the famous fort of Mehrangarh at Jodhpur. His son Rao Bika founded the city of Bikaner. Mewar and Marwar were constantly at conflict with each other, which made them weak. So here it is the story of Marwar. It is somehow different from, not very, but somehow different from the Rajputana culture, and it is a new state that is founded by Rao Jodha. Things to memorize here is the founder of Jodhpur was King Rao Jodha, and then the founder of Bikaner was his son Rao Bika. Mewar and Marwar both were competitors and they constantly at conflict with each other, which made them weak. Then comes Kashmir. Let's know about Kashmir. Kashmir was ruled by Hindu rulers. Due to its geographical condition, the foreigners could not capture it. In the middle of 14th century, Shah Mirza established a Muslim rule in Kashmir and ended the Hindu rule. Means before 14th century, Kashmir was ruled by Hindu rulers, and after 14th century, in the middle of 14th century, we can say that Shah Mirza established a Muslim rule in Kashmir. His successors, Sikandar Shah, 1386 to 1410 CE, Jainul Abidin were the famous rulers of Kashmir. Let's know about Jainul Abidin, who ruled over there 1470 CE. Was a liberal and far-sighted ruler. Far-sighted means who is expecting the future, what will happen in future. So that is called far-sighted. Jainul Abidin was a far-sighted ruler. He adopted a policy of religious tolerance towards the Hindus. He banned cow slaughter, abolishes jizya on the Hindus, and gave higher position and jobs to them. He got Mahabharat and Rajat Rangini translated into Persian and Arabic. He got the classics of Persian and Arabic translated into Sanskrit also. Abidin issued copper and silver coins. Like Alauddin Khalji, he introduced control on market and prices. He also imported the items which were in storage, like salt from Ladakh. Sultan encouraged many crafts also, like shawl and carpet weaving, stone cutting and polishing, in order to develop the state economy and provide employment to the people. Zaina Lanka, an island in the Ular Lake, is the fine specimen of engineering skill of that period. This Jainul Abidin built his palace and mosque on this island. It is remembered as Badshah, the great king by the Kashmiris. So the fact behind Kashmir is before 14th century, it was ruled by Hindu kings. Then came the Muslim rule established by Shah Mirza, and the famous ruler was Jainul Abidin, who did a lot for the upliftment of the people. He was a far-sighted ruler, that's why he banned on cow slaughter, then abolishes jizya also for the upliftment of Hindus, and not only this, he gave them higher posts also. And he also translated the Mahabharat and Rajat Rangini in Persian and Arabic. He was the ruler who also, like Alauddin Khalji, he also introduced control on the market and the prices of the goods in the market. And He want to develop the state economy. That's why people remembered himself as Badshah and the great king in Kashmir. So this is all whatever given in this chapter. So we have learned about the regional powers of 15th century, those powers which used to emerge in India.